Hey, peace, Isaiah. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine. How you doing, sir?
I can't complain at all. I can't complain at all. Blessings to you. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, I'm very enlightened to be here and to share my conjecture on the situation because I think a lot of people are just confused about FBA and what we are, who we are, and what our important importance is to this country. And I just want to give my conjecture if you don't mind.
Sure, please. Go ahead, do your thing.
Okay, so besides Tariq Nasheed, okay, he's the one that coined the phrase FBA. Okay, it stands for Foundational Black Americans. Okay, it's just another term for Black Americans. Okay, he just add the foundational to it because all these years, all these hundreds of years, white man wants to call us what they want to call us. They want to call us Negro. They want to call us Afro American. They want to call us niggers. They want to call us all kind of different names that a lot of people from the Caribbean island and other places don't know because they weren't here to experience the type of trauma that our people experience here in this country. Okay, for hundreds of years, people don't understand that my people, okay, come from South Carolina. Both my mother and my father, they face trauma living in the South. They hate the South so much. God bless them. My father gone, but they face so much trauma in the South that when they came up to the Bronx, to New York City, they didn't want to go back to the South because that's how much pain they endured while they was in the South. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is the post traumatic stress that Black Americans go through because we dealt with the slavery, we dealt with the discrimination, we dealt with the Jim Crow. All that is still relevant to today's society and how we feel, how we act, and how we carry ourselves. You understand? A lot of people that come from the Caribbean that come here, they don't understand that pain because they was in the islands. They weren't here in the South going through what Black Americans went through. Okay, so when Tariq Nasheed talks about foundational to this country, that is exactly right. Foundational to this country, nowhere else, to America. Because when we came here, we were slaves, we were chattel, we weren't even looked at as human beings. That wasn't, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they faced that same thing in Jamaica and in the islands too, because we all came on the slave ships and we came here. Some were already here, but the majority came on the
Yeah,
slave ships. Okay,
yeah, that's what
so
I
the
was
ones
gonna.
that came on the slave ships and the ones that were already here band together, band together to overcome the stuff that we went through, with slavery. Okay, but while we were here, because of, like he said, this ethnogenesis that we went through, we made our own culture here because of that hundreds of years of being here. We have so many different contributions that we have created because of that ethnogenesis in this country. You understand? So when he talks about, I don't know anything about the Phoenicians and all other type of stuff you talk about. That type of stuff don't have nothing to do with foundational Black Americans. Only thing we can talk about is what we laid down here in this country. Okay. So when he talks about foundational, he means foundational because it's our blood, sweat, and tears that we went through that built this country. It was cotton. It was picking those, going in the fields, picking the cotton, picking the tobacco, all that type of agriculture that us Black Americans, okay, that we did is the basis for the wealth of this country, and it's because of that the civil war happened, and it's because of that saying they had to give us our rights eventually because we were a big problem for them. Saying they had to free us eventually, but with that freeing us, they still kept us enslaved because they had the black codes, they had the segregation, they had the black codes, they had all kind of different laws, legal laws against us that we didn't have rights. I mean, you didn't see that in any other country. You didn't see where any other
Yeah,
blacks,
so
not even in Jamaica. Hold on,
let
not
me
even
let
in
me
Jamaica.
interject a little bit. Right. Let me just say something. Do you believe that in those other countries, even though there weren't black codes, there weren't Jim Crow laws, do
Segregation,
you
there
believe
wasn't
that,
none of that stuff
right?
there. None of that.
Sure.
Hmm.
But do you believe that the people in those other countries, after those countries were emancipated, do you believe that the slaves in those countries still had difficulties to deal with?
Sure, they had difficulties, but
Sure.
their
Right. Now they may
difficulties.
not, and that's my whole point. They may not have been these legal terms of Jim Crow, but those slaves in those Caribbean countries um, were still going through a lot, which is why they were all trying to still, even to today, they're still trying to move here. So just because there aren't any legal terms for it called Jim Crow laws doesn't mean that those people that were there weren't being discriminated against big time, and it's still happening now. There are black Jamaicans that think they're still being discriminated against now in Jamaica. So, I'm still trying to figure out why you feel that the black experience in America after slavery, right? Why you feel like after slavery, black Americans had it so much harder than slaves than freed slaves in the Caribbean, because I don't think that's necessarily true at all. And the reason I don't think that's true is because there weren't any black Americans post slavery that were trying to move to the Caribbean. There were Caribbean people who were trying to move here. So I'm trying to figure out why y'all think you had
You
it
know
so
why?
much better than
I'm
everybody
gonna
else.
tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, so like I said, there was nowhere else did they have systematic, and I'm talking about systematic. Y'all had your little thing going on there. Yeah, y'all had discrimination, but y'all didn't have actual laws, okay, in the books in Jamaica or any of those islands that was systematically keeping y'all away from what matter of fact, y'all even had like what I'm saying, the government, the
Not
government
necessarily
of
true.
Jamaica.
That's not even true. Like if you look into Rastafarian history, Rastafarians will tell you that there were laws against them specifically, right? And I'm sure there were laws against not just Rastafarians but other groups of blacks. Against There were laws against the what do you call those people that went up into the hills, the Maroons. Of course, there were laws against specifically set against groups of black people because they were trying to get their freedom. So again, I'm not
Pretty much
trying to
ran their own
see
government.
how.
But hold on, they pretty much ran their own government. What I'm trying to explain to you, in those islands, a lot of people that's of those islands, they ran their own governments, meaning they pretty much, for the most part, I'm not saying all the way,
When did
but for the
America gain
most
its
part,
independence? When did Jamaica gain its independence to run its own government?
I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about black people. Black people of the islands were running their own government, whereas
No,
here,
not until they gained independence, until those Caribbean countries gained independence, they were all ran by the British. They were still British colonies. And they most of them got their independence in the early 20th century, 1960s maybe. Like so why are you saying that they were running their own countries and they weren't independent until very recently.
okay, but hold on. I hear no, you might be true, but for the most part, if you look at the history, y'all had it. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that y'all had it so much better, but you know what I'm saying. You got to understand where we coming from, because when y'all come
Isaiah,
to this
Isaiah,
country,
Isaiah, Isaiah. If we had it
yes,
so much better, if we had it so much better, why were people leaving the Caribbean to come here? And why is it even today? And why is it even today when they come here and face what y'all are facing, what Black Americans are facing?
economics,
They
because we
still
were
don't
able to.
understand. They still don't even
This is why.
understand what your complaints
That's
are.
why you think we saying that we the foundation to this country, man. Because we is our blood, sweat, and tears that helped build that country to the point where it was the richest country in this world. The United States is the richest country in this world because of the backs of black people. Okay,
It's
I'm
on
not
the
saying other
backs
people
of
didn't do that.
immigrants as well, Isaiah. Isaiah, it's off of the
I'm not
backs of
saying
immigrants as well. But
I'm
but you
not
are
saying other
saying that.
people didn't.
But
I'm not saying other
of
people
course
didn't
you're
play a part
saying
in that. but
Do
it
you
was the
think? Do you
slaves.
think immigrants
It
are
was.
foundational to America?
How was it?
Do you think immigrants are also foundational to America?
I believe they played a part in it, but
Do you? That's not my
before you got
question. Do you
here,
think they're a foundation?
before immigrants got here, we was here already hundreds of years building this country. We was here hundreds of years building this country, or my brother. You don't. I
How?
mean, hold on. You don't accept that we was here since the 1600s. Nobody was
If
here.
they were,
Nobody was here but us and white
of
people.
course, no. Hold on. The
So
white
that's why
people.
we're
Hold
saying we're
on,
the foundational because
Isaiah,
when this country
Isaiah,
was first built,
Isaiah,
we were here.
Isaiah,
Nobody else is here
Isaiah,
but blacks
Isaiah,
and whites. Blacks
Isaiah.
and whites, brother.
The whites that were here weren't the whites immigrants.
The whites were immigrants. No,
They were
brother. When
immigrants
they
in the
came on
beginning
those
as
ships,
well. But they
when
were
they came on
immigrants,
the
right?
ships in the 1600s, when they
They
brought us,
were
they came
immigrants,
here and
right?
set shop up, and they
Isaiah,
started.
can we have a conversation? Isaiah, can we have a conversation? The
Yes, we having the
whites that came
conversation.
here on those ships, the whites that came on their ships, they were immigrants, correct?
No, because the country wasn't built yet, my brother. So how could they be immigrants to a
Okay,
country that wasn't built yet?
so then
That
your
wasn't built
slaves
yet.
can so your
It wasn't even
slaves,
built yet. It was no United States yet in the
those
1600s.
slaves are not foundational because America wasn't built yet. If that's
Okay,
the
but
case, America wasn't built until 1776. So all of this 1600 stuff you're talking about, America wasn't built yet. So you're not
we
foundational
were
to
here.
America.
But we were here. We were
So
here
was
already,
so
bro.
was the white man.
But
You just
okay,
discounted the
but
white man. The
that's
white
why
man
we're
was
saying we're foundational to this country, brother. But why is people from the
so was the white
Caribbean having a problem with
so
that with
was the white
us? When we
so was
telling
the
you
white
we are the foundation, you can ask any black American.
man is
You
the
can ask
white
any
man
black
foundational.
American. You can ask any black
Isaiah,
American, my brother, and they're gonna
Isaiah,
tell
is the
you,
white man foundational?
no, they're not foundational.
But he was here before you.
No, he wasn't. The
Yes,
white
he
man was
was.
not here
He
before
brought
us.
you here as a slave. Didn't he? Isn't
Brother,
he the
I
one who
just told you
came
that
here
there were
and then
black
went to
people here
Africa and
already.
got
There were black people here in this
how
country
many?
already.
How many? How
I
many?
don't
There were
know. I
maybe
wasn't
a
there
hand.
around the time, but there was some here
Isaiah,
already.
Isaiah. Let me ask you a
Yes,
question,
sir.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Isaiah,
Yes. Go ahead,
what
ask
do
me a
you
question.
think, by probability, who do you think is more likely that you are a descendant of? Do you think it's more likely that you're a descendant of the black people that were here before the white man? Or do you think it's more likely that you're a descendant of the black people that the white man
No,
brought here?
no, because I have a
You
lot of
don't know?
features of African American Africans, and I have a lot of features of the Olmecs. I have a
So
lot of
you think,
features of Olmec people. I do.
okay, so let
So
me
I
ask you
cannot
this.
say
Maybe,
that.
okay, the average black American, not you, the average black American. Do you think the average black American is more likely going to trace his lineage to, do you think the average black American is going to more likely trace his lineage back to the slaves that the white man brought here, or back to the blacks that were here way before the white man? Who do you think the
That's
average
not
black person thinks?
quantifiable. That's not
Of
quantifiable.
course it is, because that's what
No,
you mean by being foundational.
that's not
If you're
quantifiable.
foundational,
Only thing we can tell is if we do a trace. If we do a trace, a DNA trace, like a ethno trace, you know what I'm saying? Could we know that? I haven't done that yet. I never done that. But I can tell you one thing, my people are foundational because all my family come from here. None of us are immigrants. We were in this country for centuries. I can tell you one thing. I have white in my family. I have white in my blood. Yes, I do. Because guess what? The white man was raping our women in slavery time. So we do have a lot of white blood in us too. Okay, we have Indian blood. We have African blood. We the same way Jamaicans and people from the island have what you call a Taino, all that type of stuff they talk about, that Taino blood, that Spaniard blood, and all the other mixtures. The same thing with American blacks. We have mixtures too, and because we have those mixtures, that was the ethno side that we are talking about because we have all those mixtures in us. We have Cherokee, we have Navajo, we have all kind of Indian blood in us, especially on my father's side. No, on my father and mother's side, we have Indian blood. So
are Indians foundational to America as well? They were here before you, and they were
no,
slaves in
okay,
America.
well
Hold on, let me
they're
finish my
not
question. Let me
foundational. You
finish
know
my
why they're not
question.
foundational? They're not
Isaiah,
foundational
let me
because they
finish.
didn't help build it. They didn't help
Isaiah, let
build
me
it.
finish my
They
question.
didn't help build it.
Let me
They
finish
were
my
just here.
question.
They didn't help build
Isaiah.
it.
Yes, they did, Isaiah. The white
No, they
man
didn't,
had them as slaves before they enslaved the Africans.
my brother.
The
No,
white
no.
man, Isaiah, you got to know your history, Isaiah.
I do know
The
my history.
reason
I'm a
the
history
white
major. I'm a history
Isaiah,
major.
Isaiah,
What's your name?
the
What's your
reason
name?
American Dream.
Oh, okay,
The
American
reason
Dream.
the
Right?
reason the reason the white man even went to Africa to look for slaves is because the Indians couldn't handle the hard work and they were dying off. So the Indians were used as slaves before Africans. So I'm asking you, are Indians also foundational?
What did they do? If they couldn't handle it, who took the load? So you answered your own question. If they couldn't handle it, for how many hundreds of years did the black man handle the slave work for everybody? Anybody? We're the ones that carried the load. You just answered your question. So I mean,
So
I don't understand
so
what the
so
discrepancy is. If they couldn't handle it, right, and then they brought us here, which is the what 1700s. They brought us here. If they couldn't handle the load and they took all the load on us, they even had us as chattel. They didn't look at the Indian as less than human. They looked at the black man, the African, as less than human because of our skin. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain to you is when they had us here as slaves doing all that free labor, that we didn't have no choice because we were outnumbered. Only 5% of the Africans that came off those ships came to America. So we was outnumbered 50-1. Okay. So when we came here and we was enslaved, we had to do what that white man told us because we didn't want to die. You know what I'm saying? So we had to do what we had to do to survive. So a lot of things that we did, we
that's
did
true
it
of the
for
Indian as
survival.
well.
Huh?
That's true of the Indian as well.
Okay.
And
But
a lot of black people, the same way a lot of Indians died, a lot of black people died. So if the Indians are not, because if Indians are not foundational because they couldn't take the work, then all of the black people that died through slavery are not foundational either because they couldn't handle the work. You're acting as if all black people could handle that work.
but who? Okay, but hold on. Those were our ancestors. So how come I'm here? How come a lot of Black Americans are still here? You know what I'm saying? And we're still thriving. So what I'm
There
trying
are
to say,
Native Americans that are still
we
here.
did stand the
There's
test
Native
of time.
Americans are still here.
We did stand the test of time. We did.
So are
We
Native Americans.
survived.
Native Americans are still here.
Yeah, but look where they at. They in reservations. We still in, you know what I'm saying, in
Is that
society.
kind of what FBA wants to?
We
Doesn't FBA want to be separated and
we
go
in
on a reservation?
society. We made culture here. We made culture here. They didn't really make culture here, brother.
So
If the
FBA
Indians
doesn't want to. So doesn't F? Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't FBA kind of like want to have like their own state or something?
our own what? Own state?
State,
Hold on, what do you mean state? We want to have our own state. What do you
like
mean?
be separated. Like, does
Okay, let me explain
FBA
that.
want to be
Let me explain that.
separated from
Okay,
America?
let me explain that. Let me explain that, my brother. Okay, hear me
Like
out.
you have your
Okay,
own flag. Like you have your own flag, right?
okay, yes. Okay,
And
hold on. But that was way
you have
back.
your
That
own
was way back in the
celebrations.
70s. No,
So
no, but
aren't
hold
you
on.
kind of behaving as if you're on your own reservation?
Oh no. Hold on. What you got to understand is, see, that's the problem. That's the disconnect. A lot of people don't understand why FBA is what we call delineating. We're delineating. It's called delineation, my brother, and it's not because we want to. It's because we felt as though at this time in the United States we have to delineate because if you look at our history, black people, black Americans are always welcoming. Always. We never had no type of dissension or no type of anything with nobody. Matter of fact, I'm from the Bronx, and guess what? I have a lot of West Indian friends, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, all that type of good stuff. But listen here, okay? That doesn't take away from my cultural background. We all got different cultures. We all got different ways of thinking, different mentalities. What he's trying to say is we're not trying to separate ourselves in a way where we don't want to mess with y'all. But when it comes to political stuff, when it comes to stuff that we feel like we deserve, we have to kind of separate ourselves from other blacks that don't feel we deserve that. Because guess what? If you're doing that to us, okay, listen, if you're doing that to us, you're working against us. You're not helping us. So if you're not helping us and you're in the way, then we can't mess with you on that type of level. Do you understand? Because all these years we've been fighting for everybody. Fighting for Puerto Ricans. We've been fighting for Mexicans. We fight for everybody. We don't leave nobody out. If you're a minority and say you're a person of color, we're going to fight for you. But when we see that all our fighting for you is not contributing to anything for us, guess what? We have to delineate. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about politically delineation.
Let me just say this. If that was all it was to it, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If all it was y'all wanted to delineate because whatever, I don't have an issue with that. I think you have a right to delineate. Y'all can have it, but that's not all y'all want to do. You want to.
So what else we want to do? What else we want to do?
You want to delineate, and then you want to say you guys are foundational, and nobody else.
That's just facts. That has nothing to do with it. That's facts.
That's not facts.
Oh my God, my brother.
Listen.
That's the disconnect. Y'all think we don't think we're better than nobody, but we are foundational to this country. We are foundational to this. African Americans, Black Americans, all foundational to this country. Okay,
are white people foundational to this country?
White people, but we not. Listen, we not
yes
on
or
that.
No, I see. That's the problem. See, you won't even answer that question.
Of course, they are foundational to this country because they the powers that be, my brother. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid question.
Immigrants? What about immigrants in general?
They participated. They are.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Their participation in helping, but they're not foundational. They're not foundational.
See, that's the problem we're having. Like in my estimation, Isaiah, the immigrants that came here to work are more foundational than the slaves that were here being forced to work.
Okay, but why would you say that? Why would you say that? Because you have something against Black Americans?
Because here's why I say that. Because America literally gave up slavery. And the reason they gave up slavery was for immigration. They were like, we're not going to do this with slavery. We're going to do this through immigration. The work that we're going to use to build America is going to be through immigration, not through slavery. When America stopped slavery, Isaiah, you know what they increased? Immigration. When America stopped slavery,
immigration. It had nothing to do with immigration, my brother. It had nothing to do with immigration. Nothing to do with immigration. It was a civil war. That's why the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment was made for the American freed slaves, freedmen. That's us. That's why those amendments were made for us, because they wanted to. They knew that after slavery, they had to do something with us. They couldn't just have us roaming around and not have any type of bearing on nothing, because we weren't running from our country that we are help building and that we built. We're not running,
bro. Listen to what you're saying.
We didn't flee.
Listen to what you just said, Isaiah. Listen to what you just said, Isaiah. We're gonna have to you're gonna have to allow me to speak as well. Like even what you just said, they had to find something for y'all to do.
No, they had to find something for us because guess what? We were enslaved for 100 years. We were enslaved for 100 years, my brother.
You cannot just keep cutting me off. It's just me and you. You're going to have a chance to say what you're saying, but you cannot just keep cutting me off. Even what you just said, they had to find something for you to do. They couldn't just have you running around. That statement alone means you weren't foundational. Like
we were a threat, my brother. We were a threat. My brother, we were a threat. Are you crazy? We were a threat. We were a threat. We were a threat.
Isaiah, you gotta let me finish though. Like I'm gonna finish, and then you can speak. Like talking over each other. Nobody can't hear what we're even saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying, bro. Even if I'm building a plant, and there are people there that I have to find something to do with them, then they're not foundational to that plant. Like if I had a choice, if I had my own choice, I would probably get rid of them. But since I don't have a choice, I have to figure out what to do with them. You know what I'm saying? So either you're going to change what you just said about, they had to figure out something to do with us. It can't be that and you're foundational. It just cannot. So that's the main issue I'm having with y'all, is this idea of y'all thinking you're foundational and no one else is. It's even hard for you to give the white man his props as being foundational to this country, even though in another breath, you're going to say white supremacy built this country, but you're saying white people are not foundational. Go ahead.
You just said it. My brother, you just said it. White supremacy is the foundation to this country. But hold on. They are white supremacists, the powers that be are naturally going to be foundational, but it was the blacks. It was off it was off the backs and the blood, sweat, and tears of African American slaves that built this country. That the white man used us. They used us to build this country. Okay, they used us to build this
No, they
country.
did. They
So
actually used
after,
to.
hold
No,
on, let me finish. Let me finish. Can I finish? Because you talk.
Yes, sir.
After slavery, after the Emancipation Proclamation, when they freed us, the reason why I'm saying they had to find something for us to do because they felt threatened by us. They knew that they enslaved us for hundreds of years. So to have hundreds of thousands of goddamn Africans roaming around the country, they didn't want us to think about trying to overthrow the government. So they had to find different method, which they still eventually did because they had the black codes. They kept us in line. Why you think the cops was made? Why you think the police department was made to keep black people in line? Okay, they had to find a way to keep us in line. They had the slave the Ku Klux Klan. They had all these different methods they used to keep black Americans in line after slavery and after the Emancipation Proclamation was ratified. Okay, so in order for them to keep us in line, hold on. Also, you got to understand when we were freed, we had to make our own way. So eventually, we still ended up in the chattel slavery, which is called sharecropping, which we still eventually did because we had no other way of making money. So it still was a modern day slavery because they still had control over us. We couldn't have, we didn't have control of our own destiny. So we still had to depend on the white man for sustenance. So when you talking about, saying they had to find something else for us to do. Yes, we had to find. They didn't find nothing for us to do. We found things for us to do. Some of us went to the cities. Some of us went to the cities and got industrial jobs. But even those jobs were for the white man, the white immigrants coming here. They had those jobs for the white man. So we still was left out, of the whole society up until the 1960s. We still had the line share, or what I would say the short end of the stick when it comes to everything, even after we were enslaved for all them hundreds of years. When we came out of slavery, we still had to make our own way. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to explain to you is, yes, we are the foundation to this country because without our blood, sweat, and tears to make this a world power, even in the 1800s, we were a world power. Ain't no other country was better than the United States because we the ones that made it that way. You understand? Yes, immigrants had a stake in it, but it was us that really laid that foundation early. Early. I'm not talking about later on. I'm talking about early.
Let
I'm
me ask
talking
you a
about.
question, Isaiah. Isaiah, let me ask you a question. Do you think Black Americans outnumber immigrants in America today?
If you talking about every immigrant group, I'm not sure
Yeah,
because
all
there's so
immigrant
many
groups.
immigrants here.
All immigrant
Everybody's
groups.
coming here. Everybody's coming here.
Right. So, in my estimation, immigrants, there's probably the ratio of immigrants to Black Americans is probably 3-1, if not 4-1. There's probably 4 immigrants for every 1 Black American.
Could be, but that doesn't take away
Right. And I
our
think,
historical
and
importance.
let me just say this, and I think even that's true. That has been true. That ratio or that proportion has been true for a very long time, probably since the Civil War.
No, no,
That like
no, not at
that
all.
that
Not
distinction
at
has
all.
been true for a very long
Not at
time.
all.
And
Not at
what I'm
all.
suggesting, let me just say what I'm suggesting, then you can talk again. What I'm suggesting is because today, given that 4-1 ratio today, in my estimation, immigrants are more foundational to America today because of that 4-1 ratio. Because there are so many more immigrants in America today, immigrants are more foundational to America today than Black Americans are.
Okay,
We
hold
can
on.
get rid of
No,
if we let
no,
me
no, hold
finish.
on.
Let me
I
finish,
agree with you. No, hold on. I agree with you.
I know,
No,
but
no,
let me finish.
listen, I'm agreeing
Isaiah,
with you.
Isaiah, don't make me mute you. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. Um, Matter of fact, you lucky. I got a call coming in. Go ahead. Isaiah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Um, I had a phone call coming. I kind of forgot what I was saying. Um,
No, no. You were saying that
but
the
yeah, I was talking about the 4-to-1
ratio.
ratio, even today. And I think that if you go back 100 years, that ratio is still about 4-to-1. 200 years, like I think, regardless of how far back you go, the ratio of immigrants to Black Americans is still larger. There's still a larger population of immigrants in America to slaves, or to descendants of slaves, regardless of which period of America you're talking about. And because of that, immigrants have always been more foundational to America than slaves or their descendants have been. Always. Just simply based on numbers, bro.
Okay, can I talk? I just wanted to,
Yes.
I want to conject. I would say I would say that immigrants today outnumber Black Americans, because you got to think, immigrate. If you talk about immigrants, you talking about people from Mexico. You talking about people from the Dominican Republic. You talk about people from the islands. You talking about people that came here, from Europe. On the Ellis Island. You talking about all those hundreds of thousands of people, okay, that came here after this country was built already,
Which are
even
all of the
after all
people
that
you're
was
saying
laid
are
down. Because
foundational.
those
And
people
those are
came
all
in
the
like
people you're
early
saying are
1900s.
foundational.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Sure.
Those people that came to Ellis Island came in the early 1900s. Okay, the bulk of them, the ones from Europe, the bulk of them came in the early 1900s. Early. Okay. Now the ones from Puerto Rico and all those other countries, the Caribbean countries, didn't start rolling in here until, like I say, the middle of 1940, 1950. Okay, we were already heavily ingrained in American culture. What I'm trying to explain to you, okay, my brother, listen, hear me out, okay? Because we've been here so long, because we've been here, we out of any group, we the ones beside the white man that's been here. I'm not even counting the Indians. The Indians is like a non-factor, and the reason why I'm saying they're a non-factor because they had their own separate society. They weren't incorporated into mainstream society. So we're not even talking about them. They on reservations. They in their own world. Okay. So what I'm talking about is people like, what I'm saying, like us, like, freedmen, white people, other ethnic groups that came here, okay, after the 1900s, okay, we were already here since 1600s. We were already laying down our culture for at least 200-300 years before 1900. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is the people that came from Ellis Island, the Europeans that came here from Ireland and all Scotland, all them other places, they came here, right? They came here, and when they came here, they dispersed all throughout the United States. A lot of them came, to the cities, the big cities, like the industrial cities, like up in New York, Connecticut, Boston, all the places, right? That's why they have such a big Irish community. That's why New York City and the Bronx, especially, was heavily Jewish, heavily Irish, heavily all that, because they came here on from Ellis Island, Ellis Island, and came the right way and got their citizenship. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to explain to you is, yes, they started getting a population in the early 1900s. Okay, into the early 20th century, 19th, 20th century. Okay, they started getting a population, but we were already here. making a foundation for ourselves and to the American fabric. Okay, we were already here. So as time went on, and we kept on, making culture here. Kept on making our own culture because of our experiences here. Okay, other factions, other groups that came here, they had to pretty much, especially if you're Caribbean. If you're Caribbean and you're black, okay, you're not gonna have such a what's the word? Camaraderie with the white man. Okay, I don't think so because you're black, and the white man gonna make sure you know that you're black, even though you're from the Caribbean. So if you're coming here into this country, and you coming into the American society, you're gonna come in to the people who closely looks like you, which is us. That's what I'm saying. We never had no beef. Black Americans and West Indians never had no beef. We're brothers, but because of society, white men, how they try to pit us against one another. Okay, they try to, tell this group, oh no, you're better than that group. Oh no, they to try to keep us down. So all that's been going on and brewing for decades, my brother, decades. Okay, we are our own worst. Well, you know that old saying, we are our own worst enemy, and that's the truth because the diaspora of the blacks and Latinos, we are pitted against one another for resources, for um for um for political power, for culture, for this, for that. They pit us against one another, which is what you're doing now. Because when I see you, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Hear me out. When I hear you and you talking so much badness about Tariq, I'm like, well, why are you talking so much badness about him when he's trying to uplift his people? For years, decades. Hold on. For decades, people want to say.
No, hold on, Isaiah. Trying to uplift his people by calling me a tether. Like, don't act as if Tariq. Hold on.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Listen, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
As long as you know that the venom, the quote unquote venom that you're getting from Caribbean people isn't just in a vacuum. Like, y'all ain't doing nothing. Like, if you think, Isaiah, that claiming that Black Americans are foundational and nobody else is, if you think that's not insulting and a shot, you're kidding or you're fooling yourself.
Let me ask you a question. Like, are you Jamaican? Are you Jamaican? You Jamaican, right? Yes. You Jamaican?
My parents are Jamaicans, yes.
Okay, so say this is right. If I go to your island right now, if Black Americans by the thousands go to your country right now, your island, right? Just hear me out.
Yeah.
If thousands of African Americans, Black Americans that really are not Jamaican, okay, and we go to your island and we say, listen.
But I really am an American. See, you got to fix up your analogy, Isaiah, because when I'm not just here as an illegal, I'm an American citizen. So you have to fix your analogy. You have to say, if a bunch of y'all go to Jamaica and become citizens, do y'all have a right to say how the American government, whether or not the Jamaican government? Let me finish, Isaiah. If you become a Jamaican citizen and move to Jamaica, you will have all the rights of a Jamaican citizen.
But could I say that Black Americans? Could I say that I'm foundational to Jamaica? Could I say I'm foundational to Jamaica as a Black American? As a Black American,
they would look at you as if you're ridiculous. But they would call you a Jamaican. They wouldn't say you're not Jamaican. No Jamaican says they're foundational to Jamaica. If you go to Jamaica and say you're foundational, they would look at you like you're ridiculous. Because for one, they don't even say they're foundational, and they wouldn't. You will not find a Jamaican talking about, oh, I'm a foundational Jamaican, because the idea is just silly.
Why?
So if you go there,
wasn't the Jamaican slaves foundational to building of that country, of the island? Yes. I'm asking you. Think about it. Think about it. Yes. Okay, so wasn't y'all foundational to the upbuilding of that island?
Yes.
So why do I have a
But we're not going to call ourselves foundational Jamaicans. The idea is silly.
But they are foundational. So if y'all want to
So
stop
your mic is breaking up, Isaiah. You're breaking up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now, but you're going in and out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get closer. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're clear now.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, listen. See, people are getting so caught up with this foundational thing, man. We just black Americans, dog. Okay, we just black Americans. Stop
Tell
getting
that
caught
to
up with that
Tariq.
foundation. Stop getting caught up with foundational. That's just
No,
something
I
added
have to,
because
bro.
we
You
want
know,
to.
foundational is the insulting part.
But it's
That's
not.
the
It
main
shouldn't be.
part. That's the
It
piece that
shouldn't be.
y'all added. Hold
Okay, but
on, Isaiah. You cannot add. We've always been Black Americans. Jamaicans were even considered Black Americans. Puerto Ricans were considered Black Americans at one point. Everybody was a Black American. Now you guys added in the foundational
because
part
we're trying to
to
delineate, my
delineate.
brother. You
And
heard
now
what I
you're
just said?
telling us we shouldn't
We
focus
have
on
to.
that.
We have to delineate. In order for us to delineate, we have to separate ourselves as a separate ethnic group. Okay? In order for us to do that, we have to add the foundational Black American to it so we can delineate ourselves and we can have some type of being to show that we are of a certain lineage, okay? So we can get what we need to get as a people. So we can organize as a people, so we can get what we need from the American government. Really, this has nothing to do with y'all. This, brother, I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with Caribbeans, brother. This is our business. This is unfinished business with the white man. It has nothing to do with y'all at all. If you think about it, it really has nothing to do with Puerto Ricans. It has nothing to do with Jamaicans. It has nothing to do with Haitians. It has nothing to do with, it's unfinished business
Isaiah,
between Black Americans and the American government. Nothing to do with
Isaiah,
y'all. Do you
Isaiah,
understand that much? Do you understand
yeah,
that?
I understand I
Okay, so
understand what
that's
you're
all it
saying.
is.
But
That's all it
let me say
is.
this to you. Isaiah,
Yes.
Even on Tariq's website, Tariq on his website say Caribbean immigrants are working for white supremacy. So how does it have nothing to do with us?
That's
He
hold
says
on.
we
I'm
are
not saying
agents.
you.
He says
I'm
we
not.
are
But
agents of white. He says
okay.
Tariq Nasheed says
Yeah.
the government specifically brought in black immigrants from the Caribbean to downplay the FBA movement that was going on here.
Okay.
So how does it have
Well,
nothing to do with us? Your whole
doesn't have. It
movement,
really doesn't.
your whole
It really
the
doesn't.
whole
But
FBA, the whole
it's
FBA movement is an anti-immigrant movement.
no, it's not. It's an
What other
anti-American.
derogatory word do you
It's an
use other than tether?
anti. It huh?
It's an anti, but who? Why is it an anti-government movement? But the word tether doesn't apply to government people. It applies to
Listen, it
immigrants.
applies to anybody who goes against what we are trying to do. It's the white man that's a
No,
tether.
it doesn't. It goes
It's
against immigrants. A tether is an immigrant. The
no,
tether
my
term doesn't
brother.
apply to white people.
A
Tether
tether
are
is
black
anybody who's
immigrants.
going against us, man. Anybody who's going
No,
against
black
what we're trying to do.
immigrants.
No,
Black
it has nothing to
immigrants.
do with immigrants
White people, white
only.
supremacists, white Americans that you consider white supremacists. A white American that you consider a white supremacist. Are they
Yeah.
tethers?
They are not
Are white
tethers.
supremacists? Okay, so
No,
not everybody is a tether. Stop saying that.
okay,
Not everybody
okay,
that
but
goes
hold on,
against you
hold on.
is a tether.
Because they are the ones we trying to get what we need to get from. They're the ones that's why this has nothing to do
But
with
they
y'all.
go against
But
you, don't they? They go against you. Do
okay,
they
but
go against you? Do they go against you?
who?
White people that are
Yes,
the white
that's who the
supremacists. Are
problem
they
is.
tethers? Are
That's
they
who the
tethers?
problem is.
Are
That's who
they
the problem
tethers?
is.
Are they tethers?
They are the American government, my brother. That's who we have
Can
beef
you
with.
how
We don't
come
have beef with.
how can you
We
have how
we
come your
have
beef
no
is with
beef.
the American government? Your
Listen,
beef
listen,
is
my
with the
brother. Listen,
American
listen, just
hold
listen
on,
to
you
me.
listen for a
Listen,
second.
we don't
Hold
have
on.
beef with
Now
no
you listen for a
Caribbean.
second.
We have
Your beef, no, you listen for a second. Your beef is with white supremacists and the American government. But you don't have a special name for them. You don't have a derogatory name for them. All you call them a white supremacist. You call them supremacist. That's not a derogatory term. That's a term bigging them up. They're supremacists. They're supreme. Immigrants who have nothing to do with it You have a special name for. They're tethers, a derogatory term. So how does it have nothing to do with them, but you have a derogatory term just for them?
Hey, my brother, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me for change, okay? Instead of going against what Tariq is saying, or going against or disagreeing with Tariq, stop and just think. If I do this, am I helping what he's trying to do? Am I helping the Black American cause? Because see, when you do that, you're putting yourself in a tether category because you're going against what we are trying to accomplish in this fight. In this fight, we are trying to accomplish something. Hold on. Listen.
I know you're
I'm
trying
from the
to
Bronx, dog.
something.
I'm from the Bronx.
You're
I'm from the
trying
Bronx.
to accomplish.
Oh,
You're trying
dog,
to
I'm from the Bronx, man.
making Caribbean people be tethered.
Jamaicans stick together. Puerto Ricans stick together. Haitians stick together. This is the only time I've seen in a long time the Black Americans are sticking together and staying on code. Do you know how important that is for us as a people? When your people always stick together, y'all always stick together. Y'all don't always listen. I've been around Jamaicans all my life, and guess what? They are so giving to each other. They are loving to each other. They show camaraderie toward. We don't do that. So now that we are trying to do that, why is that a problem?
Isaiah,
did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. Like, you're making stuff up. Jamaicans don't always stick together like that. They don't.
Oh my God.
Puerto Ricans don't always stick together like that. They don't. Cut it out. Like, stop trying to make stuff up. Like,
so that's made up. So y'all don't stick together. When they come to this country, they stick together. Jamaicans mainly stick together.
Not
Puerto Ricans and Asians and all them, that community as a whole usually stick together. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about as a whole. I'm talking about as a whole.
Not any more than Black Americans do. Black Americans
have
the Black Power movement. Y'all got Pan-Africanism. Y'all got the whole civil rights movement. Now
that's right. FBA. That's the only time. After that, we lost that. After that, we lost that, my brother. After that, we lost that, my brother. After that, we lost that, my brother.
One example. Give me
After that, we lost that, my brother.
Y'all have been Black Power.
Yes. Back in those times, way a long time ago. A long time ago.
Where is the Jamaican group getting together in America that you're talking about? Where's the foundation?
I'm talking about as a people, man. I'm talking about as a people, man. As a community. I'm talking about as a community.
You're making.
I'm talking about as a community. As a community. As a community.
You are making that up to excuse.
I'm making that up. Okay, I'm making that up. So we don't need. We don't need to talk no more.
To excuse the fact that you're being divisive.
Right? Oh, we being divisive?
Yes, of course you are. When you're the ones calling Caribbean people tethers, you don't think that's divisive, bro? Like tethers? You're excusing everything y'all do that's divisive, and then saying, "Oh, it's your fault." You think calling like we didn't start calling y'all tethers. We didn't have a special name for y'all.
Yes, Yankees. You call us Yankee boy. You call us Yankee boy. Yankee boy. You call us Yankee boy. That's not being divisive.
Older than whatever.
But isn't that divisive? Isn't that divisive?
No,
I'm actually questioning. No. Why isn't that divisive? It's derogatory. No. It's not positive. No. It's not positive. Yankee boy is not positive. It's to be looked at as derogatory.
What does it mean? What does Yankee mean?
Yankee boy means a black man or Black American from the States.
No, it don't. It just means you're.
So what does it mean?
It means you're American.
A Black American. A Black American. No, it has to do with Black Americans. It has nothing to do with white Americans. Black Americans. Yankee boy is Black Americans, man. Stop
praying. So it means Black American. A tether doesn't mean.
Y'all been calling us that for centuries, dog. Y'all been calling us that for decades. We just started this tether thing. Y'all been calling us Yankee boy for decades. For decades.
Yankee means black.
A black American. That's a derogatory name.
That's the difference. We don't call ourselves tethers. You call yourself what we call you. We call you a Yankee, which means Black American. You call yourself a Black American.
Is that supposed to be positive? But is that supposed to be? But I'm saying, is that supposed to be positive though? A Yankee boy, was that meant to be positive? Or was that meant to be derogatory?
It's not meant to be derogatory. It's not meant to be either. It's just meant to be, yo, you're an American. It's not meant to
Oh
be
my
a
God.
derogatory term. It's
Oh,
not
come
meant
on,
to be
man.
like
Stop.
an endearment.
Stop.
It's
Stop,
just
man.
you're an
Yo,
American.
yo, now you making excuses now. Now you making excuses, my brother. Come on, man. Come on.
I
We just
say
started that. We
when
just
you're
started that because we're trying to delineate, man. That's all. We're trying to delineate. That's all. I mean, what's so hard? People always try to delineate themselves from us. They
Yankee
try to
is a
separate themselves
delineating
from
term.
us.
Isaiah, Yankee is a delineating term because all it means is you're a black American. We're
Okay, so
delineating.
why? So y'all
When
been
you say
delineating from us
tether,
for years.
listen,
That means
when you say
y'all been delineating from us for
Isaiah,
years. Y'all been
Isaiah,
separating yourselves from us for years.
when you say tether, just know you're muted right now. When you say tether, that's not just delineating. You're calling us leeches. That's not just delineating. When we say Yankee, it means you're a black American and we're delineating. When you call us a tether, you're not just calling us Jamaicans or Caribbean. You're calling us Jamaican and Caribbean leeches. That's derogatory. You must see the difference. And if you don't, you're really trolling.
Tether is? Do you know what a tether is?
A
I mean,
leech.
no, that's not what it is, my brother.
What is it?
You
What
making
is it?
stuff up. A tether
What's a
is
tether?
listen to me, because you have to listen, okay? Because you're not understanding, and that's why you were making a podcast on stuff you don't know. Listen, a
What's a
tether
tether?
is just somebody who is going against what we are trying to do. It's nothing more or nothing less than trying to go against what Black Americans FBA is trying to accomplish. You're going against what we're trying to accomplish. That's all. It just means y'all are going against us. That's all it
No, it
is.
does not.
It has nothing to do with leeches. It has nothing to do
No,
with
it
nothing
does
you
not. That's
talking
not
about.
what it means. That's
Oh
not what
my
it means.
God. Oh my God, man.
If all it means was that you're going against us, then white supremacists would be tethers. And you already said
White
white
supremacists are
supremacists are
white
not
supremacists. We
tethers.
have a name for them.
White
White
supremacists
supremacists.
go against you.
White supremacists are white supremacists.
Are
That's
they
their name.
tethers?
That's
Are they?
huh?
Do they go against you? Do they go against you?
Yes, that's why we call them white
Are they tethers?
supremacists. White
Are they
supremacy.
tethers? Are they
They're white
tethers?
supremacists. No,
Are
we
they
have a different
tethers?
name for y'all because y'all supposed to be with us. That's why we call you a tether, because you're supposed to be with us and you're not acting like you with us because you're going against us. That's why we calling you a tether, because you're supposed to be our brother. We supposed to be together, and you're going against what we're trying to do. That's why we're calling you a tether, or Caribbean's tethers, because we're supposed to be in the same family. And we're not acting like it because you're doing things against us. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That's all we're saying. We call the white supremacist because that's all he's been to us, and that's the government. That's the powers that be. So we are going up against the white supremacists to get what we want. We have to go to the white man to get what we want because they're the ones that enslaved us for over 200-300 years. We trying to get what we need to get from him. But y'all are supposed to be our brother. Y'all supposed to be our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and you're acting like you're not. So guess what? We'll call you tethers because y'all not for us. So that's to
How?
How? Ourselves from
How are
you.
we not for you? How are we not for
Because
you?
you're making, look what you're doing. You make a podcast saying stuff like, FBA this, FBA. Why are you going
FBA
against your
what?
brother? Are we brothers? Are we supposed to be brothers? So why are you making a podcast against us when we supposed to be brothers, my brother? We supposed to, I have nothing against Caribbeans. Yo,
Because
we
I feel
supposed to
like
be
you're
together.
going against us. Because I think you're going
No,
against us. So
no,
why are y'all going
no,
against us?
no, man, no, man, no. That's why you think Tariq is calling you a tether, because you're going against us, man. You have people that's
No,
hating against us. You have people that's hating.
Tariq,
You have people hating against us, and they should feel happy for us that we're getting together now and we're trying to do something for ourselves as a community. You should be happy about that. You shouldn't
like
be.
what? Like what are you doing as a community that immigrants are trying to have you not do?
We are trying to get what we've been asking for hundreds of years, man. We want
What,
restitution for
reparations?
our. We
Reparations?
want reparations. Okay, we want
Is that it?
reparations. Not only
Is
that,
that it?
hold on. Not only
What
that.
else?
Not only that. Not only
What
that.
else?
That's not all. We want to be called FBA now. We don't want to be called African American. We don't want to be called Black American. We want to be called FBA. That's the name that we deserve. not the name they want us to have. Because all the other names, we didn't pick those names. We want a name that we want, that we desire, that we like, and we like that name. Now, a lot of people have a problem with that because it's not what the white man designates us. Okay, that the white man always designates.
Do any Black Americans have a problem with that name?
I'm not going to say all of them.
Do all Black Americans agree that y'all should now be called foundational Black Americans? Or are there Black Americans out there who are just against the idea of FBA as I am?
Okay, well, hold on. Well, first of all, okay, hold on. FBA, first of all, what we call ourselves as a people, okay, what we call ourselves as a people, nobody should have nothing to say or have anything or discrepancy about. Because guess what? That's the name we want to call ourselves.
That don't consider themselves that. What about the Black Americans that don't consider themselves that? Can they say, yo, that's not me? And do you think that's not them? Like, what do you say to Black Americans who just say, look, I'm just an African American. I don't think we're foundational. That is ridiculous. Y'all doing a little too much. It's insulting. Like, what do you say to Black Americans who feel that way? Do you consider them to be tethers as well?
Well, hold on. No, they're not tethers. They still FBA.
What are they?
They still FBA. Okay, hold on. Listen, you got to understand the definition of FBA. You, in order to be looked at as FBA, okay, you have to have a lineage that traces back to the freedmen of the United States.
That's the definition of Black American. That was the definition of African American all along. It's always been like that's not new. So what is this new thing? It's not new. So
that's what we want to call ourselves. What's the problem? That's what we want to call ourselves. That's what we want to call ourselves. What's the problem?
I'm an African American. If I'm an African American, I already think that I have lineage here and that I have slave lineage in America. Calling myself foundational.
Hold on. Where's your family from? Where's your family from? Where's your family from?
I just told you, I'm Jamaican.
Okay, so then you don't have lineage to this country. Your lineage goes in Jamaica. It's the Jamaican Islands. That's where your lineage comes from, my brother. Why people have Americans? See, that's why we got to delineate, because everybody could be called African American.
African American was already delineating. Black people who call themselves Black Americans already knew they were talking about their slave ancestry. Calling yourself foundational doesn't now foundational Black American. You're acting as if when Black Americans call themselves Black Americans, they didn't mean, oh, I'm an American and I have slave ancestry. That's what it's always meant. That's
everybody has slave. Everybody has slave ancestry. Jamaicans have slave ancestry in Jamaica. Puerto Ricans have slave ancestry in Puerto Rico. Dominicans have
slave ancestry in America.
Okay, then. So what's there not to understand? What's so hard to understand about that?
What we don't understand is this foundational thing. What does that mean?
Damn, my brother. Foundational, man. Foundational means that, listen, you
want to know what foundational means?
You have to really go back to your history, man, to understand what we're talking about.
What foundational means to me is that I'm a tether. I'm a leech. That's what it means.
No, man, you're not that. You look at yourself as that? No, you look at yourself. You look at yourself like that.
No, that's how you. Okay,
then. So why do you have? Why are you putting yourself in that category? If you're not a tether, don't even worry about that. It don't apply to you. It don't apply to you. It applies to people who's supposed to be our brothers.
Why are you insulted by my video? If it don't apply to you, it don't apply to you.
Because I'm FBA. And I don't like, saying how you are categorized and looking at us as FBA. Now you're trying to say, okay, another thing, you trying to say that hip hop is Jamaican? Come on, dog. You trying to say hip hop is Jamaican? Jamaicans created hip hop? I'm asking a question.
What I said was Kool Herc. Kool
Herc. Okay, let me explain to you about Kool Herc, okay?
Africa Bambaataa was a Jamaican, right? So
he wasn't Jamaican. He was from people from.
Let me say this: the two main people. When we talk about the history and creation of hip hop, if there are two names that's going to be mentioned more than anyone else's, it's Kool Herc and Africa Bambaataa. That's a fact, and both of them happen to be Jamaican. When we
Okay,
talk
and guess
about
what?
when we talk about the greatest of all times in terms of hip hop, who must be in that conversation is Biggie Smalls. I may not even agree that he's the GOAT, but he's definitely in the conversation, and he's a Jamaican. And when we talk about the teacher, KRS-One is also a Jamaican, also has Jamaican background. So
Okay.
y'all cannot, you know what I mean?
Okay,
The
but
greatest influences in hip hop
it's
are
incidental.
Jamaican influences.
That's incidental, brother. That's incidental.
Incidental, my ass. Then
Incidental. You
slavery
know
was
why?
incidental.
All the people, all the pioneers have said that is incidental to the creation of hip hop. That Kool Herc is looked at as the father. Okay, because when Kool Herc first came to this country, he did not know anything about black culture. When he came to the Bronx, it was Black American, Puerto Ricans, and he had to learn the culture of America. And the culture of the Bronx at that time was Black American culture that was being exuded on the streets. Yes, you had Puerto Ricans. Yes, you had other groups there. But guess what? They were following our traditions, the way we talk,
No, they weren't.
Ebonics.
No, they
I
weren't.
mean, street talk,
They
the
were
street talk they were
they
talking
were
was
helping.
Ebonics.
Listen,
They were
everybody
following
was
our
helping
music.
you create
They were following our
that
music,
culture.
Black American music. Okay, without Black American music, hip hop does not even come nowhere near. Because guess what? They weren't playing calypso. They weren't playing reggae in early hip hop, my brother. They were playing funk, soul, R&B, and disco, and that's all Black American art forms. Okay, they were following Black American culture. At that time, the civil rights movement just ended. Black power movement was going full force. You had riots in the streets of the country. You had black culture being exuded all through the country. Not Jamaican culture, not Puerto Rican culture, Black American culture because of the times. Okay, you always got to look at what was going on at the time. Okay, and what was going on at the time was Jackson 5. You look on the TV, you got Soul Train. You look at all this. Everybody who was influenced by hip hop in the early goings always talk about Soul Train. They talk about looking at how they were dancing, how those brothers were dancing. They used those moves and put them in the street. Then you had the disco scene. Black Americans create disco. All the brothers out of Philly, all the brothers out of Ohio, all the brothers, I'm talking about all the brothers from these different countries across the different cities across the country were doing stuff that created hip hop. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You always gotta look at, just like if we go to your country, we go to your island right now, right? And we go into your island and we are trying to get acclimated to the culture of that island. You think it's gonna be Black American culture that's gonna be exuded there? Or do you think it's gonna be Jamaican culture? Because it's Jamaica. Okay, we're not going to be trying to say that we created no calypso or no damn reggae, because that's not our culture. And we know that. Black Americans, FBA, we know that. We're not trying to take that, but guess what?
All right. So if you move to Jamaica and stay there, you're going to be adding to the culture. You're not just going to adopt Jamaican culture. You're going to add to it as well. Like it's as if people don't understand how culture works. What was going on in the Bronx? Everybody, the Caribbean people that were in the Bronx at that time in the early 70s, the Caribbean people, the Jamaicans, the Puerto Ricans, some white people, the African Americans.
No. Stop saying white.
Stop saying white.
Stop saying white. Stop saying white.
Bro, if you're going to say disco, you have to say white people.
No.
Disco
white
culture. Let me tell you.
Oh my God.
Disco music may have started with black people, but disco culture is more white people culture than anything else.
No, my brother, you're misinformed. You misinformed.
People make disco music a genre. White people did.
You misinformed, my brother. You misinformed.
Let me say this. The way culture works, somebody doesn't Jamaicans don't just move to the Bronx and then just start acting like Black Americans do. That's not how culture works. Culture, everybody is adding to the. Let me finish, Isaiah. Isaiah, let me finish. Everybody adds to the culture, and everybody is feeding off of each other. There's no such thing. This idea in your head of, oh, they just came in and started doing black people stuff, that's ridiculous. Black people in the Bronx were copying Puerto Ricans and how Puerto
No, we weren't.
Ricans did.
No, we
Puerto
weren't. We
Ricans
were
were
not copying
copying
Puerto
blacks.
Ricans. We were not copying
Blacks
Puerto
were
Ricans, brother.
copying Jamaicans.
No, we
Jamaicans were
was not.
copying blacks.
No, we
Everybody was
was not.
feeding off of
No,
everybody.
it was
You
during hip
must
hop.
not.
During
You
the
would
opening
really,
stages of
Isaiah,
hip
let
hop,
me
during
finish,
the
Isaiah.
opening stages of hip hop, there was no black Americans.
Isaiah, you're muted right now because you got to let me finish. That's just how culture works. Culture doesn't work. It's not a one-way thing where just one side it's just my culture and you come in and you're just doing what I've invented. That's ridiculous. That's a silly idea of how culture works. Culture is a back and forth thing. It feeds off of people. People create a culture while people build a culture. They live a culture. It's not even creating a culture, it's living it. Right? And everybody contributes to that. So to say hip hop is a black culture is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Can I talk?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, listen. I'm not saying that y'all didn't contribute, my brother. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, at that time in history, okay, at that time, I'm not saying eventually Black Americans didn't adopt Jamaican culture as hip hop waned on. And I'm talking about way after hip hop was looked at as a genre. Okay, I'm talking about in the 80s. That's when we started rocking. Black Americans started rocking, say dreads and wearing, kufis and all that type of stuff. That's later on. But I'm talking about early formational years of hip hop. That's what I'm talking about, because this is the debate. The debate is the early formation of hip hop. Okay, when it was a black thing. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people are looking at 76, 77, 78. I'm talking about early hip hop when it was just Kool Herc and his crew. All right, Kool Herc and his crew. Kool Herc was the only Jamaican in that crew. All the rest of his people, folklore rock, all the rest of them were Black American. He adopted Black American culture, my brother. Okay, he even said that himself. He adopted Black American hip culture to get into hip hop, because hip hop was already going on when he started DJing. When he started DJing, hip hop was already a thing. Okay, just have a name yet. Okay, as time went on, okay, I would say like around late 70s, early 80s, a lot more Black Americans started interchanging.
I'm only going to be going for about another 5 minutes or so, Isaiah.
Okay. So as time went on, we started adopting, Jamaican culture and Puerto Rican culture within hip hop. But in the early goings on, it was mainly a Black American thing early. Okay. The music, okay, the style, the language, everything was Black Americanized. Okay. As time went on, people started, incorporating their cultural, exchanges within hip hop. But that's later. That's not the opening years of hip hop. And see, that's what people don't understand. People want to say what went on later. Yes, that's later, but that's not early formational years. Okay,
Hey, Isaiah,
that's
Isaiah,
the debate.
Here's my question to you, Isaiah. Have you noticed that we stopped talking about foundational Black Americans in terms of slavery, right? We stopped talking about whether Black people built America, and then we went to whether or not Black Americans built hip hop. And if you notice, it's kind of like the same arguments being made where Black Americans are like, no, it's Black Americans that created America, and everybody else came in later and added stuff later. And with hip hop, your argument is the exact same thing. It's Black Americans that created hip hop, and everybody else came in later and just added stuff later. Like, it's so interesting to me just how similar those two arguments are. When Black people want to claim something, they claim it in the exact same way, and they make the exact same arguments about them. But Black Americans love to claim stuff. That's even why I put up this video about FBA leader claiming Blacks are foundational to everywhere, because Black people be claiming everything. And what's also interesting, Tariq Nasheed, the name Tariq, I think that's a Arabic name, right? Black Americans throughout the Black Power movement, the Pan-African movement, Black Americans, whenever a lot of Black Americans have taken on African names, dress like Africans. They've
Yes.
adapted African ways of dress. When we go to Juneteenth celebrations, it's mostly African stuff that's happening, right?
Yeah.
So Black Americans will adapt other people's stuff when it's convenient to them, but when it's not convenient, they start talking about how people are just copying everything they do. We're not just copying from you, dog. You copy from us as well. You copy whenever it's convenient to you. You
African
love to
African
copy.
garb, African garb is for us too, because we're African too. So why would that be something that we acculturated when that's our culture as well? I
All
mean, we
right,
can't be African.
just so you understand that copying is a human thing, right? So stop acting as if you created everything and like the same way when you adapted that African thing, I'm sure you would think that you put your own twist to it. You know what I'm saying? But you won't give anybody any credit for that. You think whenever people take from you, they take everything. You don't
No,
think
no,
they add
no.
anything to it.
Listen, we never
You
said
just
we never
think
said nobody else contributed. No, we never said that. We never said nobody else contributed. Did you hear what I
that's
just
the
said? I
problem,
said
bro.
later
We're
on.
creators too. Like that's the insulting part. You think you're the only ones creating. You think Black Americans are the only ones that are creative geniuses, and everybody else are like the
Y'all,
Chinese,
hold on. Didn't y'all
just
create
coming and
reggae?
stealing their
Didn't y'all
patents
create
and running
reggae?
it.
Didn't y'all create reggae and
And then
sky?
y'all tell us that it's just off of black. Then as soon as we say that, if I say that, the first thing you're gonna say is, "Oh, y'all just stole. That's just R
No,
and
but
B
hold on, hold on,
music."
hold on. That's your culture, right? That's your culture. So how could we steal that from your or say anything about that? That's your culture. So we're not gonna try to grab that from y'all. Just like salsa and all that type of stuff is Puerto Rican culture. We
Do
don't want
African
that
Americans
because we know
borrow
that's
from
your,
other
their culture.
cultures?
But
Do
hip hop
African
is Black
Americans
American
borrow
culture.
from other cultures? Do African Americans borrow from other cultures?
Do we borrow from other cultures? Um,
Yes.
um, just yes, because
It's taking you too
going
long to
to
answer a simple
Jamaica.
question, Isaiah. That's the
Yes,
problem.
I'm trying to answer it. Yes, because we like Jamaican food. Yes, we like Jamaican dancing, the reggae dance. We like doing that stuff too. We like doing that stuff too. But guess what? We understand and respect where it comes from. We don't disrespect that for the most part. For the most part, most Black Americans know that that's Jamaican culture. We know that salsa is Puerto Rican culture. We don't try to take that from y'all because we know that that's your culture. So why can't when we say that hip hop is ours, that it derives from us? Why is that a problem? When it does derive from us. But it's like we can't have nothing.
Well, the
All the other
problem is
genres, all the other genres like all like funk, soul, that's ours. But guess what? Rock and roll was even stole from us. We created that. They stole that from us. They
you're
stole
making
a
up
lot
for
of
the
stuff from
rock and
us.
roll you think y'all created.
We did.
You
We
won't let
did create
anyone
rock and
have
roll.
anything.
Come on,
You
my
won't
brother.
let
We
anyone have
did.
anything.
No, because we
You
did
refuse
create those
to
genres.
let
We
anyone
did.
have
That's
anything.
facts. That's facts. That's
All
not
right,
fairy
man.
tale. That's facts. Why
I
is that a
mean,
problem?
okay.
Why is that
I
a problem?
mean, I mean,
I'll
it's
ask
a
you a question. Why is
problem.
that a problem? Is that a problem that we create those genres? Is there jealousy with that? I mean, we did do that.
I mean,
But
it's about the same amount of jealousy as y'all have with Puerto Ricans claiming to have to create hip hop. Are y'all
no, it's
jealous
not
when you
jealousy.
Puerto
It's
Ricans
just we
say that?
don't. It's not facts. It's just not facts. It's not
According
facts.
to you, but according to them, it is facts. And I don't think you
No.
have any facts on
Most
your
Puerto
side to
Ricans,
prove.
most Puerto Ricans know hip hop come from Black Americans. If you ask most Puerto Ricans, they're gonna tell you it come from Black. It's just a couple of few outliers that's trying to say that. But for most part, most Puerto Ricans in the Bronx, if you ask any Puerto Rican, for the most part, they're gonna be like, yes, hip hop is Black American culture that come from
Will
the Black
will
brothers.
most will most white people say black people created rock and roll?
Yes, yes, they would. Yes,
No,
they
they
would.
won't.
Yes, they would.
Most black
Yes, they
people
would.
won't say that. Most
Yes.
black people won't say that. You're an outlier on that.
No, no, no. Most Black people know that we created rock and roll. They stole that from us. They stole country from us. You know what I'm saying? They stole a lot of different things from us. That's why we have a problem. That's why. Because so many people, so many different cultures stole from us. And we just getting tired of it. You know what I'm saying? We getting tired of not being recognized for our accomplishments in this country and what we have created in this country. And we just tired of it. That's the problem. And see, y'all don't understand because y'all just coming here. Y'all just coming here and y'all don't understand the history. Y'all don't understand the history. Do you understand?
I mean, you know, just know that. Yeah, I understand perfectly what you're saying. It doesn't convince me to stop making the videos I'm making.
No, you're gonna make the videos on
Tethers, as long as y'all are calling us tethers and saying we're just here trying to get your reparations, I'm gonna make these videos because I think that's ridiculous. I think those statements are ridiculous. We Caribbean people don't want your reparations. We didn't come here for reparations. We came here looking for the American dream, and the American dream has nothing to do with your reparations. So if you think, let me finish. So if you think being a tether, if you think trying to prevent you or trying to get your reparations is what makes us tethers, you're mistaken. Because the Caribbean people don't want your reparations, bro.
For anything.
We don't have to necessarily we want to work. We don't want reparations. That's not what we're here for.
So we don't want. So now we don't want to work. And see, that's another problem. A lot of people come here and think that Black Americans are lazy. See, that's another thing. That's another, discriminatory or a stereotype that Caribbeans have for us, and that's because the white man put that in your head that we lazy. You see, that's
all I said was we came here to work. That's a fact. If you ask any Caribbean people why they come here, is to work, you know, and it's not to come here and get reparations. So, you know, and I'm not saying that that's all. That may be what you already said. FBA, your main objective is reparations, and we also agree that not every Black American, and we also agree that's one of them. And I'm sure the other one is that's one of them, and the other one of them is going to be some other free stuff that y'all want. So
free
it's always
stuff.
something. Yeah, it's always something. It's always something like that.
See, that's the problem.
It's always going to be something like that. Why is
free stuff?
Reparations is free stuff, ain't it?
No, it's not free stuff. That's hundreds of years of reparations that Jewish people got. Jewish people got their reparations. Jewish people got their reparations.
How old are you, Isaiah? 40?
I'm 50, brother. 40? I'm 50, my brother. I'm 50.
You're 50. So what you talking about 100 years ago, and you ain't experienced nothing from no 100 years ago?
My ancestors did. My ancestors did, my brother. And my father and my grandparents experienced that. My grandparents experienced that. My father was in the civil rights movement. My father fought in the civil rights movement, my brother. So yes, that's do us, okay, for all the years of subjugation and racism that we experienced in this country. So you wouldn't understand that because your family's coming from a different environment.
You didn't experience it, Isaiah. You didn't experience it. You want reparations for something that someone else experienced. And that's the problem I'm having with your claim. So listen, Isaiah, that's like a whole nother discussion. I'm really grateful and thankful that you came on. You know, this conversation could have been a lot more hostile, and it wasn't. And you know, you're a gentleman. You cut me off a lot, but other than that, you're a gentleman, and I appreciate that you came up and actually made a show out of this. So, but I really got to go. It's been 3 hours since I've been live.
I didn't know he was on that long.
No, we haven't been on that long, but I've been live that long. We haven't been talking for that long. But I am gonna shut this down. I hope you're subscribed and hit them notifications and holler at me whenever I'm live, because you know what I mean. I like building with you.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you know what I mean? Don't count me out because I'm a tether. Still come in and build.
No, my brother. You my brother, man. You my brother, man.
All right, respect, bro.
Respect, my brother.
Love. Thanks for coming in.
One love. Later.
I'm a war president. I make decisions here in the Oval Office in foreign policy matters with war on my mind.
We are the rocket launcher. They are my rocket. We are a rocket. We are the rocket, the rocket launcher. We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We're on the bomber. What children and women? What a lot lot of collateral damage in a moment is coming, they had it coming. What? Well, I've been summing it up, and I've been counting all the ways that I hate your guts. I'm number one in charge of big bombing. Boys, I've been bombing. Storming Norman's armies coming to Saddam 'em. Gomorrah and Saddam 'em. Show 'em who's royal. What will we take oil from 'em? Yup, we're gonna dumb 'em. Shoot your sons and televise the revolution so you know who is the one that's bombing you. Bomb 'em. Release Martin Lockheed on 'em. What beautiful ballistics. Try not to bleed on 'em. Yup, we're gonna run 'em. Nagasaki son 'em. Atomically bomb 'em. And take Saki from 'em. Yup, we're gonna done 'em. When in Rome, it's so common like rumors of war. I told you. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We're gonna bomb them. Radical Islam 'em. Amass that ass. You can feel us coming. We're suicidal bombing. Pardon, is that a rocket in your pocket, or you just happy to see us bombing? We're bombing shit to shift the ownership from Egypt to the Gaza Strip. We're straight bombing. Bombing like Israeli 7 days a week, cause rarely do we keep Sabbath day holy enough to not bombing. World War III on them, war games, push pawns on them to die, while the nights checkmate on them. Kingdom coming to an end, I'm drumming love battle songs of how bad I wanna crush and bomb them. Embalm them, then again, bomb them again. And for the live commentary, tune to CNN. For the dead coverage of me bombing them. A star-spangled harming them to peace. We'll have peace after I'm done bombing.
Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket.
What?
We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket,
Hey.
we have a rocket.
Whoa.
We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket,
Hey.
we have a rocket.
What?
We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket,
Whoa.
we have a rocket.
Hey.
We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher.
We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. And I got the scar to show. Hey, look, y'all, it's psychological like apocalypse, y'all. It's the rise and the fall of man. It was orchestrated by his own hand. And damn, time to build up Noah's Ark again to withstand the fire next time we burn the land. And my rocket launcher goes bang. And just a few years ago, you was my man. And we shot Russians together. Now discussions are just like whatever, yeah, whatever. Cause we could declare war is over, but still keep bringing home more dead soldiers. When peace is wartime, ceases our kind to live on this planet. Just one hot granite in space, with intimations of a human race at war with itself that costed itself when...
I'm a war president. I make decisions here in the Oval Office